All right, time for our Buckeye breakdown with the great Bobby Carpenter. You hear him every day morning. Juice, 97.1 The Fan, 10 TV Plus, YouTube. And all right, here we go. The schedule's the schedule. Ohio State has 3 games left in the regular season. Next 2 games are at home. A night game Saturday, UCLA coming to town. Oh, by the way, the Buckeyes are favored by 32 points. Bobby, this is not a very good UCLA team, is it?
It's not, but they do have a guy that's a familiar face that came in here, Nico Iamaleava, their quarterback. He's their leading passer. He's their leading rusher. And since they made the move, moving on from their head coach ultimately, and they put in Neuheisel, Jerry Neuheisel as their offensive coordinator, they've changed a lot of what they've done on offense. They've leaned in to Nico Iamaleava's legs. They've got him on the perimeter. And you watched him against Penn State make some big plays. Even against Nebraska, they were able to move the ball. Now, Indiana was a template of how to shut them down. They came in, they closed down the pocket, they ran the ball on them, they controlled the clock and did a lot of things. But this is a team still that's playing a lot better than those first 3 or 4 weeks that we saw.
Yeah, they've got wins against Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland, and those are 3 decent Big Ten clubs. I mean, at one point, Penn State was ranked number 2 in the country ahead of the Buckeyes. You mentioned Iamaleava. Here's a guy that came into Ohio Stadium a year ago playing for Tennessee, so there is some familiarity. Ryan Day, though, with high praise for this guy this week, calling him a warrior.
He is. And you look last year, you talk about a warrior, Dom. You were at the game. It was incredibly cold. And there were a number of Tennessee guys late in that game that you saw maybe come up a little bit lame, maybe kind of ducked out a little bit. I give Nico a lot of credit. He went out there. He continued to play hard. He played physical. He cracked his helmet, for heaven's sake. I think he cracked the second one. And so he wasn't afraid. He did not back down. He is a big physical runner. And so if you give him space and get him on the perimeter, he's got huge strides. He can make you pay. But this guy is a warrior. He carries their team. He carried Tennessee last year. And I think this is, coming in, we all want night games. Nobody wanted them in November. However, we are getting a little reprieve. It's supposed to be probably in the low 60s, high 50s on Saturday. Shouldn't be too terribly cold at kickoff. And I know Ryan's trying to coach into some of this now. Tuesday they practiced outside. And so it's not typically something they've done a ton of in the past. Going out there, working through the cold, the wind, making sure that this team is ready for the elements here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the next 3 weeks they'll be in the elements. And then after that, they're going to be playing in domes. And so, the athleticism. But, it's like Woody Hayes used to say, if you're going to fight in the North Pacific, you better practice in the North Pacific or North Atlantic. I'm sorry, not Pacific, Atlantic. And that's what we're seeing. But, a night game, we're hoping it's going to be great weather. But, I mean, I don't know. What kind of atmosphere are you expecting for this one?
I think it'll be a good atmosphere. And I think there'll be a lot of fans that show up. It's going to be nice. Heck, in Ohio in November, you can't really complain too much. And one of the things that I'm really watching here and looking at is, looking at some of the young players that are getting in. And you look at the rep disbursement. Arvell Reese didn't play a ton last game. They tried to get Caden McDonald, out of there a little bit in the second half. Sonny Styles kind of migrated him out of there. And getting some of these young players up to speed, getting them out there, letting them get their feet about them, because you're just one play away from having to utilize those guys, getting them some reps and experience, while also, Dom, taking some heat and taking some of those reps off the older players. In the past, you'd be talking about a couple more games, then a bowl game. Then they added the Big Ten championship. Well, now we're talking about a 3 or 4 playoff game run after this. So it's not like we're at the end of the season. We're just a little bit past the midway point. And so getting some reps off of those guys, they've been playing a little bit slower, critically important. And then also, we saw in the game last week, Ian Moore hopped in there at right tackle for Phillip Daniels. Padilla was hurt a little bit. They were moving Van Sickle in there, moving some guys around, trying to figure out maybe some different fits, trying to develop a little bit and put some things on film that maybe they haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's a huge key, what you're bringing up. And Ryan Day, everything he does, Bobby, is calculated. I mean, he learned so much last year, and he could really write the book about how you do it. How do you win a national title in the modern era where you're going to play 15, 16 games? With that said, they were a little banged up at certain positions. Carnell Tate did not play a week ago. We don't know exactly what's wrong with him. Padilla, some injuries. How healthy are they this week? And is this another game where you can, the depth, and Ryan talks about it all the time. He's got to get other guys in there to get the depth. because you don't know. We saw it the year Urban Meyer won the national title. They were down to the third-string quarterback.
Absolutely. So developing some of this depth is critically important, and that's why I think they're leaning on a little bit discretion being the better part of valor in this situation. Carnell Tate, Padilla, some of these guys, I think, if you're playing for a national championship, they may have been able to play. And I think that's why Ryan talked about, how serious the nature is. But they've been afforded this opportunity here when you're big favorites and you're playing really good football. And the one thing that Ohio State does is they practice so hard that these guys are ready and they get better throughout the season. So while they may not have been better and been prepared week 1 or week 3, all of a sudden you get weeks 8, 9, and 10, and these young guys have earned their stripes. They're prepared to go out there, and it's time to start working some of them in, taking some of the reps off of the older guys. And while, like I said, it may not be the most serious thing, it is beneficial to see some of these young guys out there playing.
And the other thing, and for you folks out there to say, hey, I want to know, why are we not playing tempo football like they used to in the old days? Why are we not seeing them bombs away? Why are we seeing, huddles and all this? It's all calculated, Bobby, and they still had, 80 plays or 78 plays this past week. Now, they used to get more, but the thing is, you want to limit, you're winning, and Ryan says it all the time, most important thing is win the game. And it's like Coach Coop would say, win the surest way, but you also got to win to get into the playoff mode, because you're going to play the 5 toughest games in a row again.
And so one of the things, there were some numbers that were put to this. Ohio State is averaging about 63.4 plays per game, I think, on each side of the ball. And when you start looking at that and extrapolating it out, there's a lot of teams that are going 5 and 10 plays more each and every week. And so when you put that over the course of a season, some teams are getting another game's worth or game and a half's worth of plays. And this was a situation, in Urban, they would go fast, fast, fast. You might see 80 or 90 plays a game. And with that, you had to play a lot of guys. There's always risk of injuries, soft tissue things. So they've slowed it down. They play more of an NFL style and NFL motto. And Ryan said this, they can turn the gas up when they need to. And I think, you looked before the half. They did a little 2-minute drill. They want to get down there, execute a field goal, run some 2-minute offense. And that's the thing, when you're winning so bad, Big, you have to find ways to simulate some of that adversity and simulate some of those situations. So whether it's red zone, whether it's third down, or whether it is 2 minutes before the half or end of game, being able to work on some of those and really press the gas pedal. They can do it. They showed it, but it's something that they got to find the right time to do it.
Yeah, the one thing I want to ask you, because my belief is they're that good that they really have not faced much adversity. There's just that much difference. I mean, there was some adversity against Texas. We saw a little bit of adversity against Penn State when they fumbled the ball just before half. And I think adversity is good, because they're certainly going to face some adversity once they get to the Big Ten title game, hopefully, and once they get to that team up north, and once they get into the playoff. But the thing is, and that's what I want to ask you, when you're playing in these type games, what do you do to simulate adversity if you're not getting any?
I think you try to work on those situations like before half a little bit. Let's not forget, Purdue was actually leading 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. Now, I don't know if they liked that, and you saw the last play of the first quarter, obviously the deep shot down the field to J.J. Smith, almost gets in, goes down at the 2. But I think that they try to find situations where, hey, we're down right here. It's a 3rd and 8. We figured out this. This is what has happened. How do we correct and make adjustments quickly so that we can go out there and then go execute? It's obviously hard, Dom, when you're up by 10, 20, 25 points at certain points in the game. But early on, they try to find those situations and work on them the very best they can. And that's why you see them really working on running the ball. They could probably throw it to JJ and Carnell every single play if they wanted. But they want to work some stuff over the middle. They want to develop that run game and continue to develop this holistic team. And this is a team that faced a lot of adversity last year, faced some against Texas. And Ryan has done a tremendous job of leaning in on them in practice to making sure they're having competitive situations as much as possible, because you may not always have that on Saturday.
And Bob, last thing, and the thing that has impressed me the most is the maturity of this club. Because let's face it, there's a lot of love out there. I mean, there are so many people now that love Ohio State. They're the odds-on favorite to repeat. They're the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman, all this stuff. And yet Ryan has found a way to keep these kids all in check.
Well, Don, the old adage is, pat on the back is only 6 inches away from a slap in the face. And Ryan had been slapped in the face a lot. That team had been slapped in the face a lot last year. A lot of these players remember that situation. And when Ryan went on with Pat McAfee, and Pat was trying to gas him up and how great you are, you're number one. And Ryan keeps saying, we haven't done anything yet. You don't get trophies for being ranked first in the CFP rankings the first week, the second week, any of the weeks. The only time they hand out trophies are at the end of the Big Ten championship game and then at the end in the national championship. And those are the ones that matter, and that's what he's really leaning into.
All right, guys, he's the best. Bobby Carpenter, Morning Juice, 97.1 The Fan, 10 TV Plus, YouTube. Check him out. In other words, keep it on 10 TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye coverage.